Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Coco Bull Was Poco playing in the Tier 8 non-premium British heavy tank. It is the Caernarvon. And these days I feel like you have to clarify that tanks are non-premium, right? I mean, look to the left, T54 Mod 1, Scorpion G, T34. Yeah, I think you see what I'm suggesting. But for some reason we still don't have a Tier 8 premium British heavy tank. Why is that? We've got an FV201, a Tier 7 British premium heavy tank, but still no Tier 8. Anyway, Coco is going to have an incredible game here in the recently buffed Caernarvon, which has personally always been one of my preferred vehicles in World of Tanks. Not something that I would play relentlessly, but something when I manage to get into it just seems to have good games, but I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea. Now, fairly recently, in 9.20.1, Wargaming changed the British heavy tank tree. They've introduced the Super Conqueror, they made changes to the Caernarvon, the Conqueror, and they didn't touch the Black Prince for some reason. Why did they not touch the Black Prince? God, that's an awful tank to play at Tier 7. And Wargaming changed the main armament of the Caernarvon and the armour of the vehicle. The main armament used to be this 20-pounder, an absolute laser pointer of a gun to have on a heavy vehicle. It had 1.9 seconds aim time, 0.32 accuracy, 0.32 accuracy, great dispersion values, 10 degrees of gun depression. The only thing that sucked was that it had 230 alpha damage and the rate of fire was 7.5, giving it an abysmal DPM for a vehicle with terrible alpha damage. Just quickly, I don't know why Coco's decided to try and be sneaky here and maybe maximize his DPM by doing high explosive damage to the back of that mutant. It didn't quite work out for him though, as he failed to penetrate the high explosive shells, and he would have done better using the armor piercing rounds on the 32-pounder. And that's right, the poundage, so to say, of this gun has gone from a 20-pounder up to a 32. The caliber up to, I guess it is a 94mm from an 83.4mm. And so the alpha damage has jumped up from 230 up to 280. But for some unknown reason, even though Wargaming did that, they also increased the rate of fire of this vehicle. The rate of fire went from 7.69 rounds a minute. I think I said 7.5 earlier. I stand corrected. 7.69 rounds a minute that 20-pounder used to have. And now it fires 9.23 rounds a minute, which means that the Caernarvon has one of the highest, if not the highest, DPMs of any of the Tier 8 medium or heavy tanks, and I think it's only really the tank destroyers that can compete with the Caernarvon. And so, just massive buffs to this vehicle. And as if that wasn't enough, Wargaming also bumped up the turret armor on this vehicle, completely changing the workings of the turret. It's now very similar to that on a Centurion, whereas previously it was similar to that on a Centurion Action 10. It had a very sloped forehead when it was an Action 10, which made it great when you were using the gun depression of the tank, but awful when you weren't. These days, I've pretty much got about 250mm of turret armor when you're in one of these vehicles, and I'm perfectly happy to sit still against everything apart from Tier 9 and Tier 10 tanks. And when you can meet Tier 6s, well, you've got some decent armor. Now, Coco is going to be in luck here because the T54 Mod 1 on his team looks like he maybe TK'd somebody, got banned, and so he's going to provide a good distraction for this T44, which allows Coco to come round. And this is where this tank is just insane. It's got higher alpha damage than that T44, 30 to be exact, and it's got a massively better rate of fire, firing over probably about 1, if not 1.5 rounds a minute better than that T44, even though that tank, I believe, has had an increase to its rate of fire per minute fairly recently. And so that means the Caernarvon just seems to be this absolute little predator. If it can manage to penetrate with its 220mm of penetration, which is slightly lower than it was back on the 20-pounder, or if you dap that 2 key, then it does manage to go up to, no, not 300, what is it, 252? Yeah, that's not the best, but certainly not the worst for a Tier 8 tank. Then you're just ripping apart your opponents in record time. Another little bit of information about the Caernarvon is that you see how this, what I call like the fighting compartment, the center of the tank is angled. That meant that when you previously side-scraped in the Caernarvon, you put out a big old weak point on the side of the vehicle where they could shoot a flat part of the fighting compartment. These days, they've buffed up that part of the armor as well, which means the Caernarvon can side-scrape out and it's fairly safe. They've done the same thing in the Conqueror, the same thing in the Super Conqueror as well, compared to the FV215B exact. So there's never been a better time to side scrape in one of your British heavies, something that I would never have recommended doing previously. And just look what this tank is able to do here with these 10 degrees of depression and this new 32 pounder. There you go, into the side of the VK, but of course now having 220 millimeters of penetration, not quite good enough to contest the tier 8 German premium. Sorry, non-premium, so the regular one. I'm getting confused because there might be a vehicle coming out, maybe sometime. Well, at least according to Tanks GG, it looks like there's a premium VK 10001 possibly coming sometime soon. We'll have to see about that. But talking about premium tanks, the Lerva sitting on that bridge just got absolutely annihilated. That is what 2,584 base DPM looks like. And if you use a gun ram, a good cruise skills, vents, those kind of things on this vehicle, and maybe if you were to put pudding and tea on it, this thing just becomes absolutely scary, more like a tier 9 heavy tank, or even a tier 9 medium tank, or even a... This thing has the same DPM roughly as a 113 or a WZ-111-5A. It's just absolutely bizarre what Wargaming decided to do with the Caernarvon. And after seeing this, it definitely makes me want to take it out for a round or two on the battlefield. So Coco defends the cap circle from above, the perfect location to use for your tanks with good gun depression and decent turret armor. And he manages to interrupt the IS-3 there, which gives him a bit of a respite to recover and maybe deal with some of the other tanks on the enemy team before he refocuses at taking on the tier 8 Soviet heavy tank. There he is, right in the open. Doesn't look like... Oh, the IS-3 can see him indeed. Tries to put a premium round through the turret there. Not quite working out. Gonna have to get lucky if he wants to damage the IS-3 from up here. But it's the right thing to do to just harass. Maybe he can force the IS-3 outside the cap circle. And yeah, it's a shame that behind the wreck it looks like that Charioteer more useful to the enemy team than to Coco's team here. Oh wow, VK comes around the corner, makes a big mistake there. 287 damage dealt. Back in the day with the 230 Alpha, you probably wouldn't have been able to take that tank out. Could you possibly? Maybe you could ultra high roll. I can't quite do the 25% RNG rolls in my head here. But there you go, Centurion just annihilated. Tier 8 on Tier 8 British vehicle destruction right now. And that T-54 Mod 1 definitely banned. Let's go and take a look to see if that T-54 Mod 1 has had even a little bit of a move. No, still looking. Well, yeah, I don't think you have to be a detective to figure out what the T-54 Mod 1 did here. Maybe he's a bit jealous that he didn't get a Type 59, right, guys? Okay, 15 seconds left on the game now. Coco has to interrupt that IS-3 again. 10, 9, 8, oh, it's 10, 7, 6, 5, 4, one shot. Oh, good. High explosive round into the cheeks, but a Scorpion trying to sneak up behind him. Another high explosive round into the side. The Scorpion doesn't roll high, which leaves Coco on 55 hit points. And take a look at these high explosive rounds. Combine that with the 9.23 rounds a minute rate of fire, and the Caernarvon is firing multiple rounds for every time the Scorpion engages him. That just enables him to shoot the Scorpion 3 times, doing pretty much 1,000 damage there, just shy 800 damage to be able to take him out. Then goes back, shoots the T-25 pilot, and can you believe that T-54 Mod 1 is being so useful even though he's banned? Don't know why the pilot doesn't just ignore him. Greedy pilot, and that is allowing Coco to just rip apart the side of this Tier 8 premium American medium tank, now down to 337 with only 55 hit points, and the fact the IS-3 has left the cap circle, Coco has to hurry up. He has to take a chance, hopefully a bounce. Great, a ricochet off there. Now he should be able to shoot maybe the pilot twice before he reloads in time. 70 hit points, come on, one more, Coco. That IS-3 is going to be red hot. Up behind you soon. Oh, lovely shot into the back there, something the Caernarvon could only do now because of the rate of fire. And there's the IS-3 sneaking up behind. The IS-3's name is Punisher. Oh gosh, this is pretty tense stuff now. Coco decides that he's got to get away from the IS-3, maybe try and get hull down, realizing that the Caernarvon isn't the fastest of tanks with a 34 km/h top speed limit. The IS-3 is racing down the slope. Coco slams one into the tracks. The IS-3 has his repair kit, repairs, and Coco reverses to try and avoid the ram. Oh, God. Ooh, that was a bit of a heartbreak at the end of this one, ladies and gents. 8,200 damage in a Tier 8 tank. Not enough to take this one down. Coco played this pretty much flawlessly. Absolute valiant effort here, showing you why the Caernarvon is a force to be reckoned with since 9.20.1. So Coco Bull nails an ace tanker here for 1,430 base experience for a loss, but of course you get some courageous resistance in there, meaning that he actually receives 2,145 base experience, so to say, for this absolute gargantuan game. Can you believe it? 8,557 damage, must have blind fired one into the Lerva there. Unsurprisingly, gets him a high caliber 8 kills, Radley Walters medal, and even though Coco fired a few premium rounds here and spends quite a lot on ammunition, he still makes 63,000 credits profit in a non-premium tank just because of how ridiculous the damage that he dealt was. So Coco Bull, commiserations to you on not taking this one down. You did absolutely everything that you could. It was a nail biter, a roller coaster, the kind of games that I love to commentate on. And thank you so much for uploading it on the WOT Replays website for the community to enjoy. I certainly did, and hopefully all of you out there enjoyed this video. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down, and let me know in the comments if you have been taking the Caernarvon out for a spin since 9.20.1. Do you think the vehicle is exceptionally good now? Do you prefer the Caernarvon back when it used to have the 20-pounder rather than the 32-pounder? And why do you think Wargaming decided to make the Caernarvon's DPM just so much higher than all of the other tier 8 heavy tanks? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.